It's always stressful when you see your cat vomit, right? It's actually a super common issue for cat owners, but the reasons can be anything from totally harmless to a clear sign that something more serious is going on. So in this explainer, we're going to walk you through everything you need to know.
So if your cat's been vomiting and you're worried, I get it. You've come to the right place. Let's just jump right in and get to the bottom of what might be happening with your little buddy. All right, let's break down the most common reasons why this happens. We'll start with the really simple, everyday stuff and then work our way up to the things that might need a bit more attention. Okay, first up, and this one's incredibly common, they just eat way too fast. Some cats get so excited for their food, they just inhale it. And when that happens, it's like their stomach can't handle it all at once and just hits the emergency eject button. It might seem like no big deal, but it does mean they aren't getting the nutrients they need from that meal.
And then there's the infamous hairball. Cats are constantly grooming themselves, so it's only natural they swallow a bunch of loose fur. Over time, that fur can clump together in their stomach, and eventually, it's got to come out. It sounds gross, but honestly, it's a totally normal, if not so pleasant, part of being a cat.
So, how can you tell which one it is? It's actually pretty simple. If what comes up looks pretty much like the food they just ate, maybe just a little slimy, they probably just ate too quickly. But if you see a very distinct, kind of tube-shaped wad of fur, well, you've got yourself a hairball. Knowing the difference is a great first step. Cats can have really sensitive stomachs. If you suddenly switch their food without slowly mixing it in over a week or so, that's a classic recipe for an upset tummy. Sometimes it can also be a sign that they have an intolerance or an allergy to something in the food, like chicken or a certain grain.
And it's not always just about the food itself. Other digestive problems could be the culprit. Things like, intestinal worms, a bacterial infection, or the fact that some cats just have a naturally sensitive gut that gets irritated easily. This next one is a big one. We've got to be really careful about what our cats get into. Their curiosity is one of the things we love about them, but it can lead to them chewing on and swallowing things they absolutely shouldn't. I'm talking about little bits of plastic, string, or even toxic houseplants like lilies. In these cases, vomiting can be a sign of a dangerous blockage or even poisoning.
And finally, and this is really important, sometimes vomiting isn't the actual problem. It's a symptom of something bigger. If it's happening a lot, it could be a sign of a serious condition, like kidney disease, gastritis, which is just a fancy word for an inflamed stomach, or other infections that really need a vet to diagnose.
Okay, so we've gone through a lot of the whys, right? Now for the good part. What can you actually do about it? Let's get into some practical steps you can take at home to help your cat feel better and hopefully stop these episodes.
A lot of this comes down to prevention. If your cat's a speed eater, try giving them smaller meals more often. Or you can get one of those special slow feeder bowls. To tackle those hairballs, just brushing your cat regularly. It makes a world of difference, especially for the long-haired ones. Always try to provide high-quality, easy-to-digest food and make sure they have plenty of fresh water. And of course, cat-proof your home. Get rid of any small things or toxic plants they might chew on. And while things like hairball supplements exist, it's always a good idea to talk to your vet first.
It really all boils down to this simple idea. Being proactive and just paying close attention to your cat's everyday habits, how they eat, how they act, is honestly the most powerful tool you have.
Okay, so we've talked about what you can do at home, but now we need to get serious and talk about the red flags. Because while a little bit of vomiting can be normal now and then, some situations are definite emergencies.
So what are those emergency signs? When do you need to stop guessing and pick up the phone and call the vet, no questions asked?
First up, how often is it happening? If your cat is throwing up more than 2 or 3 times in one day, or if it keeps happening for over 24 hours, that's your cue. It's time to call the vet.
And there are other serious symptoms you absolutely cannot ignore. Any blood in the vomit is a major warning sign. It could be bright red, or it might look kind of like dark coffee grounds. Same goes if your cat is suddenly really lethargic and just won't eat or drink anything, or if you notice they've lost weight all of a sudden. These are not wait-and-see symptoms. They mean you need to call your vet right away.
Look, the point of all this isn't to scare you or make you panic. It's to help you know what to look for so you can tell the difference between a simple hairball and something that's a real call for help. So after all this, what's one thing you've learned about your cat's habits that you'll pay a little more attention to starting